So yesterday I got to hang with, speak in front of, and break bread with the original shark on Shark Tank, Kevin Harrington. And on top of that, some just incredible entrepreneurs. People like Brandon T. Adams, Kevin's business partner in their business Big Brand Ventures, in a room full of just amazing entrepreneurs that have incredible products, services, and brands that are doing multi-millions to some even on $1 billion trajectory right now. And so, needless to say, the room was full of a wealth of knowledge. Now, I have about 4 to 5 big takeaways that I got from hanging out with these guys all day, and I want to give them to you. I don't want to hold on to them. I want to share them with you so you can apply some of these takeaways. You might get 1 or 2 of these ahas and be like, oh my God, this is exactly what I need right now. So that's what I'm going to share with you throughout this video today. Now, for some context, we literally spent from 8:30 in the morning till 10:30 p.m. hanging out together. Now, this was the shark retreat down here in St. Pete. And so there was structure to the event. There was hot seats. You got to pitch. There was one-to-ones. It was a whole ordeal. And then afterwards, we went out to dinner. There was an after party at the cigar bar. When you put yourself into a room or into an environment with people that already have the knowledge, and people like Kevin, by the way, not only being the original shark on Shark Tank, this guy invented the infomercial. So talk about taking something from nothing, creating something out of thin air from absolutely nothing. There was a blank space back in the 80s when cable first came out on the Discovery Channel. It used to just be all bars. They only had 16 or 18-hour runtime. So during the 6 to 8 hours, there was no runtime. He's also taken brands like Celsius to that next level and many other things, right? But my point is, you can learn so much that might take you years, whether it be knowledge, like a piece of knowledge or an idea or a connection, all within one day when you put yourself in the right environment. So the first thing is something that I already know, but the way it was presented yesterday was really powerful. And it's around telling your story. Your story is your superpower. And I obviously know that. I teach that a lot, but I even see areas where I could do better with this. And I think many of us that have coaching services, that we're selling fitness or whatever it may be, that is how your story is how you better position yourself in the marketplace. It's how you separate yourself from the sea of competitors that you have. It's how you can even bridge the gap, not just relate with people, but bridge the gap between where somebody is and your story becomes the transformation bridge that they can walk across to having hope that they can also have the transformation that you have had. So your story is your superpower. Now, with any good story, it starts like with a problem that you were struggling with, or maybe a family member or a client was having. And then there's a low point, right? There's a low point that happens in any story. And then there's a turning point. You tried something, you did something different, a mentor taught you something. There's something that happened, a turning point. Then you start to get a result. After you get the result, there's now a ripple effect of all of the things that became possible in your life. I was not prepared for this because I was invited by a friend to come out to the event, but I got the chance to speak in front of Kevin and the whole room. So I was like, all right. And this is a whole lesson in itself. Like, I'm always ready. Like, to be honest, I've done this for 13 years. But still, when you're talking in front of people like that, have just, it's like, there's a little bit of nerves that come up. Let's just say that. But get ready. What is it? Stay ready so you never have to get ready. That's what I was trying to say. But I got to tell my whole story, pitch my idea, my brand, the brand that we're building of the School of Impact. And at the end, they were genuinely, and I was like surprised at first because I was like, oh man, I think I did terrible. But they were all like, your story was so good, man. Like, you got to share that more. And so here, I'll give you a little taste of how you can apply story into your own brand and use it, again, not just as a positioning tool, or a tool to stand out, but truly to move people to the next level, right? So this is all point number 1, storytelling. So for me, what I shared was that I got electrocuted as a firefighter. I went into that whole story. So that was kind of like the problem. I was overweight and I was a firefighter, and I went into a burning building as a firefighter doing a search and rescue, and I got electrocuted. I was hospitalized for 3 days, and there was a turning point because a doctor looked down on me and he was just like, son, you're just way too young to be this out of shape and this unhealthy. Like, I was 21 or 22. That was like the low point. So I started to get myself back in shape. I started to look up stuff and I realized I found different things, right? I found a mentor that was able to help me. And then I started to get in shape and I got a result. There was a turning point and a result. And the ripple effect was I've decided I want to become a personal trainer myself. So I retired from the fire service, became a personal trainer, right? So that's an example of a story. And then what I was pitching to them yesterday was like around the idea of how like the coaching industry right now, it's shit if we're just being honest. Like there's so many people that don't know what they're doing as coaches. And not just to say that on both sides, the consumer side, most people don't implement crap. This is why people can open up a book and they can not take action, or they buy a course or they hire a coach and they don't actually implement. And so like I was telling about how I'm trying to reform how like, we teach entrepreneurs education, and how the School of Impact is doing that, and how we're creating more of an immersive co-creation environment to where we're co-creating with people, starting to hold live immersive experiences to where we're bringing people in, we're helping them build things out in real time, helping them transform their identity. All of the stuff that we're doing there, like it's truly like cutting edge. I shared the story about how I went through it, right? How I had my gym and we built the gym up, and how the gym started to fail and how we had to bring the gym back up. And then I got onto American Ninja Warrior, and then how that taught me a lesson about all the like storytelling and getting seen and all that, how I applied these things to my business and all of the stuff I went through with them. Right. My point is like there's different types of stories that you could share, but the best stories to share are where your audience is, and share something meaningful to them. So if I shared my story about how the School of Impact came to be and how we're now reforming education and we're creating more co-creation and implementation driven environments for people, and how the success rate is going from the standard 10% now to we got 80-90% success rates with people. It's just like you're like on board with that, right? Because you are a coach, you're helping people, and you want to learn how to apply this stuff to your business. And so you want to tell stories that relate to people and that are relevant to people. Does that make sense? So that's the first one. I could do a whole video just on this, but I want to keep going. So the second one is on branding, on personal branding. Personal branding is so big. And this is something that Brandon T. Adams taught during the Shark Retreat. Personal branding is huge. And again, each one of these points I could probably unpack a whole video on. But just understand, like moving forward, whether it's 2025, especially true and beyond, it's so important because information itself is a commodity. No longer can you just be like, here's how to lose 10 pounds. Nobody cares. People can chat GPT it. They could put into Google, Gemini pulls it up. They could type into YouTube. It just comes up. Nobody's looking to learn information. They want to be entertained. They want to see the behind the scenes. They want to know your story. Going back to story, right? These are the things that people want to see. They need belief shifting. They need new insights. That's what they're looking for. And so building a personal brand is a lot about telling your story. It's about having a unique message, right? Having a big idea, a unique mechanism, a new way of doing things that you can bring in. This is what part of like what brands you. Like back when I was running my fitness business, and still to this day, a lot of people associate me with Ninja Warrior, right? They're like, when they meet somebody else that does Ninja, they think about me. They're like, oh, I know this dude that does Ninja Warrior. That's a part of branding, right? It's things that you've done. You know, me owning a gym and building a gym up and then franchising it and then failing and then overcoming adversity. That's a part of my brand. People will remember these parts of your story. So parts of your story, parts of what you've done is your brand. But then how you get your brand out there is through both your unique messaging, like having some kind of big idea that you can bring to the marketplace. Whether it's something big, like I'm trying to reform how education is brought to us as coaches and entrepreneurs, or something that might be just like, hey, look, I'm tired of dieting. I have this new way of doing things. And it could be on a smaller level, but having some kind of big idea that you're going after. And then leveraging different kinds of mediums. Like you want to leverage social media. You should have a top of funnel platform like Facebook or Instagram that you're pouring into, right? That you're putting more short and medium form content on. You should have a nurture channel that you're able to consistently get your name out there. Like email. I use email and I have a lot of my clients set up email and I show them how to actually convert from it. But what an email tool is good for as well is people just see your name in their inbox. I email almost every day. Even if somebody doesn't open my email, my name still pops up in there. It's a great branding tool. And then long form content. So people get to know you. People can watch this video and they can get to learn a little bit more about my personality, about my story. They can get value from me, right? So all of these things help build that personal brand. And at the same time, they help you convert, right? Because you're able to pour into people, give value, help people out, build that know, like, and trust with people as well. So your personal brand is key. And then also on top of this, it's like getting yourself out there more, trying to get on more podcasts, getting more speaking opportunities, doing networking. Like just yesterday, man, I've struck so many new relationships and potential partnerships. And not to mention, I have the idea, and I have kind of quote unquote marching orders to take the School of Impact to the next level. And I might be in a company that Kevin Harrington wants to invest in, and helps take the School of Impact to a freaking national or global, like a big scale level, right? So there's so much opportunity just from getting out and networking, building relationships with people, right? Which that brings me to the third point, is building relationships. This is something that Kevin Harrington explicitly said, which is like around the power of just building relationships with people, because you don't know the person that you meet today that may not be quote unquote anything special, right? You don't know what's going to happen. There's people that you might meet that might be an intern, right? Working for a company. And then in 10 years, they're now the CEO of the company, and they could provide you massive value. And so it's really just looking at like love thy neighbor, right? It's just treating people with respect. And it's like focusing on building relationships and just being that go-giver. If you've ever read that book, just being that go-giver and finding ways that you could just provide value to people all of the time. Like something really apparent with people like Kevin Harrington and Brandon T. Adams is like, they just show up and they just want to serve you. So like one of the first things I asked Brandon when I met him on the boat is, he's like, how can I give you value? And I was like, look, I would love to like get value, but I would love to give you value. I was like, who can I introduce you to? What can I do for you? Like I want to help. So it's like, find ways you can always give value, or at least have that servant heart to be able to put into people, and focus on building relationships with people. It's a long-term play and a short-term play, but I'm telling you right now, relationships are what's going to stand a test of time. It's going to overcome any marketing hurdle or lead generation problem you have. Is one or two key relationships can change the trajectory of your entire life and your business. So that was the third thing. The fourth I had was systems. Systems is absolutely key. And this is something that I often talk about, but it's so important because, I got to sit up there and listen to all of these brands that are, some of them are doing millions. Some of them are on a trajectory to doing $1 billion in sales. And one of the key things is they're all lacking a key either marketing system or acquisition system to where they've been able to acquire. And you're like, oh, if they're doing millions, how do they not have an acquisition system? Some of these guys just bootstrap. They hustle and grind their way to like $1 million in sales. But putting a system on the back end, it's like your business is a machine. So if you're a coach and you have a service, whatever it is, and you're like helping provide that to people, you have a passion for it, right? There's a passion for, I help people with this problem, but a lot of times people don't actually focus on putting the system to it, right? It's like Steve Jobs had a passion for creating, but he created like a machine out of it. It became an iPhone, a Mac, right? iTunes, all this stuff. And so it's like you have your passion, the creativity, like why you do what you do, but I need to bolt on a business system that's going to help my passion grow. You see what I'm saying? It's both the feminine and the masculine. The masculine is the system. And so, even when they were giving me one-to-one advice on how I'm growing the School of Impact, he was just like, as I told him, and like, I don't often talk too much about revenue on here, but like total, like just with one offer, we've done almost 1.8 million in cash, way more in top line revenue. And he was just like, all organically. And I was like, yeah. They were just like, you've not really invested in paid ads. And I'm like, no. And they were just like, homie, like, do paid ads. And I was like, yeah, I haven't really been like ready to scale. Anyways, but like they were like talking. He's like, dude, just like put a paid ad system behind it. You already got the organic so dialed in. I mean, he's like, that's crazy. And he's like, put the system in place. And so they're giving me all this advice, and I'm like, yeah, this is the advice I give others too. And so we always need it. It's like we can't read the label from within the box. So this is why mentorship is so important at all levels. You can't see what you can't see. You don't know what you don't know. And we always get in our own way, right? We're our own worst enemy. We're our own bottleneck most of the time. But with that being said, where can you apply maybe better lead generation systems to your business? Where can you apply better lead nurture systems so that way you can consistently get inbound leads? You can consistently get people reaching out. It's not magic, right? It's not like a genie's coming over. It's just that you're applying a system to make a result happen. How can you have a better conversion system? So if you're tired of taking sales calls, or maybe you need more sales calls, you can set a better system of having a better video sales letter, or you can do workshops to convert from workshops. There's always ways to apply better systems with delivery, with retention. How can you retain and keep more people coming in, having that reoccurring revenue? And so there's always ways to just attach a system. And this is what I teach with the in-demand coach operating system. It involves the messaging and the marketing, the content ecosystems, the conversion systems, the back-end systems on what's worked for me over the last 13 years. Nonetheless, systems are super important. And the last one is, and I've only wrote down 4, but a 5th one has come to me. And it's really more so a perception or a perspective, I should say, that I got from them. It's like once you find that passion, it's just, you got to go all in on it. You got to go all in. When you have something, and it could be seasonal for you, it should become your life's work. When I look at people like Kevin and Brandon and some of these other big, awesome entrepreneurs and incredible humans, they're so obsessed with their missions. When you have a mission worth fighting for, when you have an idea worth bringing to life, there's going to be so many times that you want to quit. Like, I'm not going to lie, over the last couple months, I've considered what I want to do with the School of Impact is not an easy feat. And I've considered just being like, you know what, screw it. I'm going back to what I was doing before. It's safer. And I've considered throwing in the towel. And it's happened a lot for me over the last 13 years. And it happens a lot for a lot of people. And just know that having that drive, having that passion, having that mission that's worth fighting for, and becoming obsessed over bringing it to life, whatever that means for you, and really getting clear on what you want your lifestyle to be, your business to be. Maybe you don't want to build $1 billion thing like somebody like Alex Ramosi. Maybe you want a nice cush $30,000, $40,000 per month coaching business that lets you have the lifestyle that you want. Whatever it is for you, what is that mission? What is that passion that you have that's worth fighting for, that you can obsess over, that you can hyper focus in, and you can not keep tinkering with things, but just go all in? That's something that I just observed, and I can see where I can put that more into my business. I can see where lots of people can do that a little bit better, where they're always like changing things up. They're always tinkering with things. They're always, losing focus. They're distracted. They've got 3, 4 different things they're working on. Find the one thing right now that you could just say, for this season, whether it's 3 months, 1 year, 2 years, whatever it is, for this season, I'm going all in. So anyways, I wanted to share a little bit with you. I hope you found this video helpful. My only intention, there's so much more I could share, but these are the bigger nuggets that I got. Hope you found this valuable as well. As always, remember, get out there, make money, change lives. Bye for now.